Dear students, today we are going to discuss on The Gardener by P. Lankesh, presented by Muhammad Fasiullah Khatib, KLPU College, Bangalore. There are two stories in this lesson. In the first story, the characters are the old man, the owner of the plantation, the owner's wife, and in the second story, the characters are Tamanna and Baswaya. So the first question, let us discuss on this one. It might be asked for 2 marks or 3 marks or it may be for 4 marks. Describe the old man or what qualities of the old man impressed the narrator. First one, he was standing in the coconut grove near Chennarayapatna. His eyes were filled with strange memories and native intelligence. He stood there, a tall figure, hair gone grey, long beak-like nose, and strong muscular arms. In one hand, a spade which he used to tend coconut trees, a newspaper tucked under his arm. He was a laborer, overseer, a philosopher, all rolled in one. He came to this garden one day after walking hundreds of miles. The owner of the plantation needed exactly a person like him for his garden. A few words were exchanged between them. The old man stayed on. That means he was appointed. He was really useful to the owner of the plantation. He was well versed in agriculture. He could understand the problems of the workers. And when he started working there, the petty thefts in the garden came to an end, and the income from the garden it improved dramatically. Next, how did owner's life change, or why was the owner's wife worried? Why did the owner's wife start worrying about the strange ways of her husband? What happened after the old man came to this garden? So after he came, so late in the later part of the story, you will come to know that this old man is nothing but Tamanna. So he was well versed in agriculture. He was a man who was the owner of 1,000 acres of land, and a man who managed 1,000 acres of land. For him, managing 10 acres is nothing for him. So he worked very well over there, and after this old man came here, the income from the garden it improved drastically. Dramatically, the income improved. There was a great change in the lifestyle of the owner. When the plantation expanded, the owner became lethargic. Lethargic means the owner became very lazy. He shied away from hard work. Shied away means he was running away. He tried to escape from hard work. He became very lazy. He did not do any work because the old man was there to take care of each and every work. And then, when his wife found all this very strange, she found it hard to decide whether the old man's arrival was for better or for worse. She could not decide that the old man came here to her garden whether it was good or bad. Her husband's wealth and social prestige had risen higher. Of course, after this man came, so many changes took place in the garden. There was a perceptible change in the lifestyle of the owner also. Let us see what are the other changes. So what happened? He became very rich. All of a sudden, right, within a short period of time, the owner became very rich. So when he became rich, he stopped doing any work. Even if the important work was there, he didn't do it. And then he acquired a number of friends in the next town as well as in his own village. Even though he had precious little things to do, his life became crowded with colorful events. Though he had important things to do in his life, he did not attend it as he was busy and crowded with colorful events. She became apprehensive about adultery. That is, she was worried His wife was worried that he was involved in adultery. Adultery means relationship with other women and too many other vices. Other vices means he cultivated so many bad habits after he became rich. Their farm was merely 10 acres and it had grown beyond imagination, right? It was just a 10 acres of land, a farm, and it had grown beyond their imagination after the old man came. That was fine, but their life was gradually getting out of their hand. Personal life was getting disturbed. The next question: when did the old man decide to narrate his story? How did the old man react to the plight of the owner's wife? So the old man, as I said, that old man is nothing but Tamanna. He was an experienced person. So far, he did not interfere in the life of his owner and owner's wife. But now, when he understood, when he saw the owner's wife, so he thought of telling her something. He understood the plight, the disturbance of the woman. So when he realized that one, so he thought to discuss something with the landlady. When she was in a fix like this, when he saw that she was in a problem like this. What was the problem? The problem was that her husband had changed his attitude and his habits and everything. He was not at all attending even the important things, and he was involved in vice, that is bad habits, cultivated bad habits. So one day, what happened? This old man, he met her. Her means the landlady, and he behaved with her as though he knew her very well. He knew the plight of the old woman very well. So he smiled at her and he brought down an offering of tender coconut from the nearby tree. He smiled at the landlady, and then he brought a tender coconut to her from a nearby tree. He sat on the embankment of the well, so she had no alternative. She also sat next to the old man. The sun was slipping away into the western horizon. His rays were reaching the walls of the well through the foliage of coconut, mango, and jackfruit trees. It might be asked in MCQs, right? So the sun rays were reaching the walls of the well through the foliage of what trees? Coconut trees, mango trees, and jackfruit trees. The old man began his narrative. His narrative means he started telling a story. Right. So I started narrating a story. What was the story? So from here onwards, our second story starts. It begins in a far off place. Once there was a man called Tamanna. He had everything. He had 10 acres of wetland, a comfortable house, and so many people were there who were ready to do his biddings. Ready to do his biddings means so many people were there to obey his commands. The most important thing among all these possessions was his rival Sangoji. Of course, he had so many things. Among all these things, one more thing he had, that was his rival by name Sangoji. Then she was listening. She was listening when the old man started telling the story. She was listening, but she felt like going away because she was not at all interested in this story, because she thinks that all this is none of her concern. However, she continued to listen to the old man because she was not willing to hurt the old man. She did not want to hurt the old man, so she sat there, continued to listen to the story of the old man, though she was not interested. And then the old man continued, no, no, his name was not Sangoji, it was Basavaya. See, in MCQs, this is very important. Sangoji is the name which is used only once in the lesson. Remember the name Sangoji. When the old man started telling the story, he spoke about Tamanna, and then for Basavaya, he says Sangoji. Then he changes the name and says that no, his name was not Sangoji, but his name was Basavaya. Next, the rivalry between Tamanna and Basavaya. Let us assume his name was Basavaya, he was Tamanna's rival. Now he says that he was not Sangoji, but his name was Tamanna, and his name was Basavaya, and he was Tamanna's rival. So, how was the rivalry? If Tamanna purchased 4 acres of land, then immediately Baswaya also purchased 4 acres of land. If one had 10 friends, the other acquired 15 admirers. If Tamanna made 10 friends, Baswaya made 15 friends. Then, if Tamanna purchased 100 acres of land, then Baswaya purchased 200 or 100. In that way, it was going on. To begin with, all this looked like healthy competition. It was looking like healthy competition, but however, gradually it rose to such a pitch that there was no land left in the village for both of them to buy, because all the land belonged to either Tamanna or Basavaya. See, there was no land left for them to purchase, because in the entire region, the land either belonged to Tamanna or it belonged to Basavaya. Finally, Tamanna had 1,000 acres of land. See here. He purchased, Tamanna became the owner from 10 acres of land. He became the owner of 1,000 acres of land, and Baswaya became the owner of 800 acres of land. So now Baswaya wanted to purchase more and more land, because he wanted to be equivalent to that of Tamanna, or he wanted to have more land than Tamanna. So he wanted to purchase land, but no land was available there in that area, entire region, for him to purchase. So Baswaya could not tolerate this. Tamanna had 1,000 acres of land, Baswaya had 800 acres of land, 200 acres of land. Tamanna had more. So he sent a word to Tamanna asking him to sell his 200 acres of land to him. Right? He sent a message to Tamanna to send him 2 acres of land, but Tamanna, he did not agree. So instead he said that he was prepared to buy all the land that belonged to Baswaya. He refused to sell his 200 acres of land, but instead he said that he was ready to buy 800 acres of land that belonged to Baswaya. So when Tamanna refused to sell his land, Baswaya became very angry. So what he did, he was mad with rage. He became very angry. He went along with his people and he acquired 200 acres of land of Tamanna forcibly. Right? He took his people and by force he acquired 200 acres of land of Tamanna, and then he built a fence around that land. Tamanna could not tolerate this invasion. Of course, who can tolerate this one? It's not a question of half an acre or 1 acre. So it's a matter of 200 acres of land. So Tamanna could not tolerate this. The next question, what were the suggestions of Tamanna's followers? Right, when Basavaya acquired 200 acres of land, Tamanna became angry, and Tamanna had too many followers. And what were the advices given by Tamanna's followers? They said that one advice was that they will go to the court of law, and then they also said that they will go and complain to the police in the police station. And then some of them said that many number of persons were there who were ready to attack Basavaya, and such a war had become virtually inevitable. Right, so many suggestions were there from the followers of Tamanna, that is, such as court of law. They will go to the court of law, they will go to the police station, or else they will take on. So many people were there, they will take their men and then they will go and attack Basavaya, and they will take their land back by force. But Tamanna had some other idea in his mind. What was that? Tamanna was in search of a method that could annihilate Baswaya completely. Annihilate, that is, destroy, that could destroy Baswaya completely. What was that idea? Let us see. So the question will be like this: what unique strategy did Tamanna conceive to annihilate Baswaya? Or how did Tamanna react to Baswaya's encroachment of his land? Or the rivalry between Tamanna and Baswaya keeps moving from visible domain to invisible. See, this is important, right? The rivalry, it started moving from visible domain to invisible domain. Comment on it, or it can be materialistic to artistic also. How does Tamanna adopt a course a counter strategy to challenge the material wealth of Baswaya. Now let us see the answer. Tamanna was in search of a method that could destroy Baswaya completely so that Baswaya could not compete in this one. So he hit upon the idea. He got an idea. What was the idea? He got the idea of composing all his experience in the form of ballads and singing them. Right? He thought he got the idea to write poems, write ballads, and then to sing them. And now the rivalry between them had started moving away from visible to that of abstract or invisible domain. Now Tamanna's reputation started spreading. When Tamanna started writing ballads, right, he mentioned all the cruelty in his poems, in his ballads. Tamanna, he mentioned the cruelty and meanness of Baswaya, what Baswaya did. So Tamanna's reputation started spreading all around. His songs became very famous, and then he is so many people were attracted towards him, such as the scholars of folklore were after him. So many people, the artists, the scholars, the critics, the artists, they started coming towards him. The scholars of folklore were after him. The critics started analyzing and translating his songs. Thus, they also became the share of the fame. Art had become the raison d'etre of his life. Right, art had become the part and parcel of his life, and then he became so famous that finally he was felicitated as the best poet of the time. Next, how did Baswaya try to overcome his humiliation? Right, so Baswaya felt humiliated. When he felt humiliated, what did he do? He also tried to write songs, sing songs, or write songs, but he could not do that one because writing ballads is an art. It's an inborn talent. It cannot be. It is not just like purchasing the land, but he failed in that one. So when he failed in that one, what he did was he concentrated much on agricultural task, and then he did it. He did his agricultural task very effectively. Then he encroached more and more land of Tamanna. See, again, he did not give up. He continued to encroach. Encroach means acquire land, more and more land of Tamanna. But Tamanna did not notice any of these activities. So Baswaya shrunk in humiliation. He felt more and more humiliated when he was not reacting or when he was not responding to this. Nevertheless, he started filling his life with all kind of material wealth. The question might be asked for 4 marks. 3 marks or 4 marks. What was the reaction of Baswaya? Right? What did he do? He also tried to sing, but he could write ballads. He could not. He tried to sing. He could not. He performed his agricultural task very effectively. He encroached, means he acquired more and more land of Tamanna, but Tamanna did not notice. And then what he did was he started filling his life with all kind of material wealth. Right, he became very materialistic, and he started filling his life with material wealth. He built a palatial mansion for himself. Right, he built a bungalow just like a palace, a big house or bungalow like a palace. He built for himself, and he appointed a number of persons to praise him. Since nobody was praising him, he appointed people to praise him. He decorated himself with gold, diamond, and other precious stones. But still, his house was dull and it was empty because that art was not there. Tamanna's books were not there. So, however big his house was, whatever decoration was there in his mansion, it was still looking dull because Tamanna's books were not there. This is what the visitors told him. Therefore, he started inviting scholars, poets, and musicians to his place. And in this way of investing his home, this was the way of investing his home with the meaning. So he also started. He also wanted to compete with Tamanna in art form. So he invited scholars, poets, and musicians to him because his people told him that Tamanna's books were not there in his house, so his house was looking dull. Next, Tamanna turns reflexive in course of life. What does this tell us about human nature? See, it was going on like this, but one fine day, what happens? Tamanna falls sick. Tamanna becomes ill, and when Baswaya he learns about this, he feels happy. See, even if he is an enemy, we do not feel like that. We do not feel happy. But here, Tamanna feels happy when he comes to know that Basavaya was ill. At this point, Basavaya found means of surpassing Tamanna here. That means that he thinks that in this competition of life and death, right, and health and sickness, health and illness, now he thinks that he is very strong, he is very hale and hearty, he is very healthy. He thinks that he will defeat Tamanna in terms of health and sickness, life and death. So he thinks that health is wealth, and you may sing, you may write ballads, but you may not become healthy. But if Tamanna started suffering from disease, surely his own spirit would be deprived. He thinks that Tamanna's disease was Basavaya's health. By this time, again Tamanna had thought of yet another method of punishing Basavaya. What was that? That was death. Right. When he came to know that Basavaya was happy to see or to know about his sickness, Tamanna again thought to change the form of rivalry. What was that? The next form of rivalry was life and death. If he continued at the level of the body, Basavaya would go on offering a stiff competition. He thought that Basavaya had to give a stiff competition in the competition of life and death. But if his songs were separated from his body, if there was no relation between the songs and his own flesh and blood, this is how he started thinking. He wanted to change the rivalry in a different form. That he wanted to give up everything. He wanted to give up everything. That is the ballads. He wanted to separate himself, his body, from these ballads, art, and all these his songs and all these things. Man needs wealth, education, art, and many more things, and yet he lives for some kind of unbearable vengeance. The old man tells this lady that, of course, man needs wealth, education, and many more things. Even though a man gets each and everything, all these things, but he lives for some kind of unbearable vengeance. Revengefulness will be there. Vengeance will be there. Revengefulness will be the revenge will be there. Without it, there would be no reason for his existence. Then this is not a real story, he says, only what I have heard somewhere. Now the old man says that this is not the real story. He heard the story somewhere, and then you may know. She knows that he subscribes to a daily, and he is just an old man. And after a particular age, man loses his name. His age becomes unimportant, and his name vanishes into thin air. What he is trying to say that however successful man is, however great a man is, one fine day he vanishes. He has to die. Everything comes to an end. Then he gives the example of Russia and America. As we know that the Cold War is going on between Russia and America. So now they are the rivalry is there between them. And how does he say, if one fine day Russia will go and tell America that he doesn't want a war, he doesn't want to wage war against America, then it will be boring for America, because America is interested in war and warfare. If the great enemy, just such as Russia, he himself is not ready to fight, then it will be boring, and life will be what to say? It will be boring for America. That's what said. If Russia tells America, "I'm not even any enemy. I shall not wage a war against you," what must have been there the action of America, the sole enemy of Russia, to this declaration? Probably we will not understand the agony, the boredom of America, right? America will be very painful. It will be boring for America if Russia will say that it doesn't want to be an enemy. Once it knew Russia was no more an enemy, it will be boring for it. A nation is capable of withstanding strains like this, but a human being cannot. Tamanna suffered the same fate. village. He thought his death alone could destroy Basavaya. Now Tamanna thought that if he will die, so that Basavaya will be destroyed. Only his death will destroy Basavaya. So he gave up everything and he started off. Means he gave up his land, his rivalry land, his place, everything, and he started to walk. Simply started to walk, and he walked and walked for hundreds of miles, and then he reached that garden, right, that plantation. A few days after he left, Basavaya passed away as he had no more reason to live. See, after Tamanna left his place, after a few days, Tamanna comes to know that Basavaya died as he had no reason to live on this earth. Now, the old man says that in the same way, her husband is also flourishing today as a rich man, and he's not amenable to anyone's advice. Now he's talking about the old woman's, the lady's plight or misery, and he says that the man, her husband, was not listening to anybody's advice. So he says that man is very complicated. That till the day of his death, he goes on living for some vengeance or some or the other, and confronting one challenge or the other. He told her that not to think otherwise, and just to assume that he did not tell any of that, or to think that whatever happened, it happened in her dream. Now he finishes his story and he wants to leave, and he says that the laborers have started going home. The young child of Lokaya paints well. This is important for MCQ, right? Whom does the old man want to attend at the end of the story? The young child of Lokaya who paints well. So he's bedridden with his fear. Why does he want to visit him? Because he was bedridden with fear, so he wanted to pay a visit, and he starts off from that place. In that way, he stops the story and he leaves that place. Right, I hope the story will be helpful for you to understand in a better way. Thank you.